All right, let's talk about Jager Deman. Now, the Brooklyn Nets and Jager are in town tonight at the Delta Center to take on the Utah Jazz in their one and only trip to Utah. Now, Jager did not play last night. He didn't play against the Denver Nuggets. He had left plantar fasciitis maintenance is what they deemed him out with. But he has been absolutely awesome this season. Speaking of Jager, remember when he was taken with the 8th overall pick in the NBA draft, there were more than a couple draft pundits out there who were like, hey, is this a reach by the Brooklyn Nets? But I don't think anybody's saying that now. Jager has made a three-pointer in 33 straight games that he has played. It has tied the record for a rookie in the NBA. If and when he does it tonight at the Delta Center, and I'm sure there are a number of you who are going to be there sporting BYU and or Jager Deman Brooklyn Nets jerseys, I am going to the game as well. It's not necessarily for Jager. Actually, it's my first opportunity to get my son out to a Jazz game this year. It just happens to coincide with Jager's return. I am looking forward to seeing this young man play, and I hope he makes that three, and it'll break a record. I think I got to pull this up here. He's tied with Rudy Fernandez and Landry Shamet for the longest such streak ever for an NBA rookie with 33, like I said, straight games with at least one made three-pointer. Pulls it off tonight. He sets a record, and it just kind of adds to everything that Jager's done all year this year. 39.7% shooting from three. He's among the top 50 in three-point makes per game. He is shining on the NBA stage. And remember, last year with the spacing or the lack thereof in college basketball, Jager struggled for a long stretch of his run at BYU, but Kevin Young was adamant, and he said that when Jager made it to the NBA, the freer, I'm trying to say the freedom of movement that the NBA allows with regards to its foul calls, like they really don't let you touch guys, it was going to allow Jager to shine. And all he's done is use his 6'9" frame, his guard-like ability, and an outside shot that even many of us that inside Cougar Nation, I think, may have questioned if he really is going to be able to shoot at the high level that he's been shooting at. We all kind of question, is that actually there? He's proven it. And it's incredible to watch what he's doing. And I guess the good news is for BYU basketball is we're looking at Dybantsa. He is looking like he's going to be at worst, a top 5 pick. If he has the top 3, I'd be stunned. I'll say it right now. I fully expect that AJ is going to end up as the number 1 overall pick. That's personal opinion on the matter. Let's say it this way. I'm a Utah Jazz fan. I don't have a problem saying that. If the Jazz somehow, some way, which will never happen because, the NBA would rather die than allow it to happen, it feels like. But let's say the NBA does give the Utah Jazz the number 1 overall pick. I'd take AJ and not even think about it. I'd run up to the dais, whatever they call it, the podium, hand it to Adam Silver and say, with the number 1 overall pick, the Utah Jazz have selected AJ Dybantsa, Brigham Young University. I think AJ is that good of a player. But what Jager is showing, speaking of Jager, I should say Diehlmann. I reverted back to old habits. And actually, Kevin Young made the joke about it in a post-game press conference not long ago. He said, it's now Diehlmann instead of Deman. What happened to Deman? I guess I reverted as well, so I apologize for making that gaffe. But what Diehlmann is showing on the NBA level shows that what Kevin Young has talked about. He says it's not a hypothetical. Remember when he showed up at BYU, he said, I want to make this an NBA factory. And he used the term, this is not a hypothetical. And what it was is he wanted to prove that what he was doing at the collegiate level was preparing guys for the NBA. Jager is the first to come through and won't be the last. There's obviously a lot out there that BYU is chasing on the recruiting front. Bruce Branch, a 5-star plus prospect who visited BYU this past week as part of visiting. He was at that Arizona game. Well, BYU is hot on his heels, essentially trying to sell him on the vision of, hey, you see what Jager Deman's doing right now? You see what AJ Dybantsa is doing for BYU and what we expect him to do in the NBA draft? Well, guess what? You're next year's version of that if you come to BYU. That's a pretty compelling pitch for a guy like Kevin Young to be able to go and sell, like I said, to a young man like Bruce Branch. At 6'7", he is considered to be, like this year's version of AJ Dybantsa. And if they essentially go the 8th pick this year, I think what I consider to be the number 1 pick in AJ Dybantsa, whether he's the 2nd or 3rd pick, it doesn't really matter. You have another top 10 at worst pick this coming NBA draft. And then, let's say Bruce Branch does pick BYU because all intel that I have heard and others have heard is that BYU very much is in the mix for him. And some would say it's considered to be the favorite. The nice part is BYU is showing, as Kevin Young talked about in his introductory press conference, that BYU is indeed an NBA factory. I love what Jager Deman, man, it's going to take a while to get used to that, is doing on the NBA stage because he is way ahead of schedule. And I know that the Nets are kind of like the Utah Jazz. They're trying to, kind of manufacture a way to stay in the lottery and keep adding pieces to their roster. But it doesn't take away anything that Jager is accomplished here for the Nets. And I love it because once again, it's another thing that Kevin Young can point to and say, hey, proof is in the pudding. You know that kid Jager Deman for the Brooklyn Nets? You know how he, if he does it, broke the record for the most three-pointers straight games in the NBA by a rookie? Yeah, well, we developed him here. Why don't you come play for us and we can do the exact same thing for you? It is showing exactly what Kevin Young's vision was, and he's executing it. And that should excite you as a Cougar fan, showing that Kevin Young, yes, he came in with some bravado. He was a little bit brash, and he's acknowledged that, but all he's done is deliver on everything he promised that he was going to do at BYU. That's the incredible part about this is Kevin is showing that, hey, I know what I was capable of. You just needed to trust the process and let me do my thing. And he's done it. And that's also credit to Jager. Jager's worked on his game. You can tell he's got a much tighter handle. Obviously, he worked on his outside shot. And I know that they had him sit out last night because of that left plantar fasciitis, but to have played as many games as he's played, because he's played more games in the NBA at this point, if I recall correctly, I think is the number of games they've played at this point, far surpassed everything he played at BYU. This kid's showing he's very much a young star in the NBA, and I hope the future is just about as bright as it looks right now for Jager. It gets even brighter as he moves forward, and then Dybantsa and Richie Saunders jump into the draft next year. Whether Richie ends up as a first or second round pick, obviously he'll add to BYU's legacy as an NBA draft pick. And let's say they do pull off the Bruce Branch win in the recruiting sweepstakes. He comes in. It's going to become a nice, just rough stone rolling, to steal that term from Richard Bushman's work about Joseph Smith all those years ago. But it kind of shows what is going to happen. It's going to start to pick up momentum. You start to add these guys, and as they go into the NBA, they talk about, hey, yeah, I played at BYU. Yes, anybody can go there and thrive and go play for Kevin Young. He knows exactly what he's doing. Kevin's used his guys he knows in the NBA, the Chris Pauls, the Joel Embiids, the Kevin Durants, as part of his recruiting pitch. Well, the nice part is he's also going to have guys who have direct knowledge of what they can do for them in Jager, in AJ, in Richie, etc., going forward, that will obviously in turn sell itself to future classes of recruits and hopefully top 5 type players like AJ, like Bruce Branch, and BYU just starts to really become that destination that top basketball prospects want to play at, and they thrive and ultimately go on to incredible professional basketball careers. It's a cool thing. It's cool to see proof and concept come out in real time, and we're obviously going to be privy to that if you go to the Delta Center or watch it tonight as the Utah Jazz take on Jager Deman and the Brooklyn Nets.